everybody! So today I am going to share with you some of my tips and tricks for writing either a really big research paper, a master's thesis, or even a PhD dissertation. So first I wanted to give you just a little bit of background as to why I'm talking about this. As some of you already know, I successfully wrote and defended my master's thesis about 3 weeks ago now. Well, I mean, I wrote it over a course of like 5 months, but I defended it about 3 weeks ago, and it went really well. And along the way, I discovered many things that worked and did not work. So I'm going to jump right in. I hate that phrase. Like, we're not talking about a pool, we're talking about a conversation. Anyway, so my first tip and or trick would be to use a thumb drive. So this is my thumb drive. This is a Kingston, I think it's a 16 gigabyte little flash drive that you can stick in your computer and back up your work. So that's really important because if, for instance, your computer died or whatever, the world exploded, well, that wouldn't be that useful, would it? But the point is, this is a really good way to back up your work every single day, as well as to email copies to yourself, both on your school email and your personal email. So that's 3 different ways to back up your work every day, or at least every couple of days, so you don't lose any of your progress, because that happened to me. Just a couple days of work was lost, but it was very, very sad. My next tip and or trick would be to use post-it notes. So in addition to being very cheerful and bright and fluffy, and you will definitely be very upset and terrified that you have to write a very long paper, this will brighten your, oh God, okay, fine. No purple post-it. So these will help you tremendously with your organization process. So let me show you what I mean by that. So in my case, my paper was, I think by the end of it, about 120, 130 pages, which is by far the most I've ever written at one time. And for a PhD dissertation, that would be, you know, doubled or tripled, depends on your mentor. But that was a lot of stuff, and trying to figure out which stuff goes where was very complicated and confusing. So I made this. So this is how I organized my paper. This is the title, and then starting here, and then here. This is the first part of my paper, you know, transitioning. These are the different sections and different colors. This is the end, and this is how basically every major section was organized. I'm a visual person, so this is really helpful for me. I could just look at this and even approximately figure out what page it was on just because of this. So that is why the post-its are great for organization purposes, but post-its are also great for other reasons. Let me show you. So here you can see, this is my wall. Okay, well, hold on. Let's make this more classy. That's my desk, and as you can see, the wall above my desk is covered in post-its. Now, it is covered in post-its. Whoa, let's stand back a little bit. It is covered in post-its because I would put the really important key points in sections that corresponded with my poster. It's also really helpful for putting, you know, author, paper title, main take-home points from that paper, which isn't really as useful for like maybe a research paper, but for like a master's defense or a PhD dissertation, you really have to know what papers talked about what information, and you have to remember details down to the smallest detail, which is super annoying. The last tip and or trick that I have for you would be to print out your rough draft. Obviously don't do this at the very beginning because you're not going to have anything. But once you get to the point where you have your first real rough draft you can actually read through fairly cohesively, I recommend printing it and then reading over it and making sure it all makes sense. Again, I'm very visual, very tangible kind of a learner, so this was really helpful for me for spotting mistakes. It isn't very helpful if you need to edit though, because obviously you have to go back into your computer and read off of this and go to that. But this I thought was really helpful for understanding the rough layout of the paper, because on your computer it's obviously this infinite scroll, like Tumblr, except it's your paper. These little page flags, I have a thing with colorful things apparently. These page flags are really useful because these would be, you know, major edit points, so I could just flip to them. This was really something that my mentor kind of got me into because, you know, he would read this and write his notes, and then I'd go back and fix it. So that was really helpful. So there you go. Just a couple things that I found really helpful I also found working in my own office. This is my visual aid for this one. See, I found myself extremely distracted when working out there, but in here it was just, there's a door, it's my own space, it's temperature controlled, well, roughly. It's actually really hot in here most of the time. But you know, I could close it off, sound, everything. So that was really great. I'm very easily distracted. Like, is that a truck? Gotcha. I hope this is helpful. Again, this can be applied to research papers, anything all the way up to like a dissertation, even presentations that you have for, you know, work or something. Like if you have to write a several page brief or, you know, work summary or business paper, whatever. There's a red blinky light on my camera. That makes me nervous. I don't know why that's there. So I hope you all have wonderful weeks. That's everything I have. Bye. Jump right in.